Welcome to Client Acquisition Secrets, the $201 million blueprint. So glad to be here with you today. My partner Dan and I are excited to bring this information and introduce to you what we've been able to use so successfully for ourselves and our clients. So let's go ahead and have some fun today. Go ahead and type in the chat box that you're here, where you're from, all that stuff, man. Let's go ahead and have some fun today, right? And so give me an affirmation. Let me know that you can see my screen, right? Perfect, perfect. So today's agenda is pretty simple. In our small amount of time together, I want to make a big impact in the following ways. I want to give you confidence where there was once uncertainty, clarity where there was once confusion, and to help you unlock within you the true potential you have to make your dent in the universe. Yet, if nothing else, we're here to help you create a breakthrough, a very big breakthrough, right? So what we're going to cover today is our three-step formula that essentially makes up the $201 million blueprint, right? So what I need from you today is focus. So go ahead and type yes in the chat box, because you see, we're not just here to give you more information. You need more information like you need a hole in the head. We want to give you actionable insight that you can take immediately and implement into your business to move the needle. So if we deliver that actionable insight to you, do we have a deal that you are going to use it? Go ahead and type yes in the chat box. We're excited to see it. Yes, yes, yes. Perfect. Okay. I love it. I love it. So I want you to know there is nothing for sale today on this webinar, right? Um, I want you to really focus on taking notes and putting any insights that you have together into a plan so you can implement it in your business, right? This is not going to be a training that's full of BS and fluff and a bunch of stuff like this. It's actionable content you can use. But also, if you stick around to the end, we're going to have a free gift for you. Dan and I have something we're going to share with everyone who stays to the end. And plus, at the end, we're going to be talking about a little something that may be able to help some of you and go a little deeper with us, right? But if you don't qualify for that, don't worry, because stick around. You're going to get this free gift anyway. Plus, I suspect that you're going to get extreme value from the transformation you're going to get on this webinar, right? What you should know about us is we create breakthroughs and transformations. It's what makes us unique, right? You don't need any more information. Like I said, what you need is transformation, right? So who are we and why should you listen to us? Real quick, right? So this is me, Jimmy Harding. I'm known as the Client Attraction Authority, creator of Consultants Mastery, just some programs, that I've done, what I've been doing for the past 7 years. And, here's Dan. Dan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, I mean, short version is I'm a husband, I'm a dad. I've built a few companies and I invest in people, which is sometimes commonly known as being an angel investor, meaning their companies. I've started and built and grown 11 plus companies since '92, had a few 8-figure companies, a handful of 7-figure companies. And here's what you should also know. I've buried 3 of those 11 companies in my backyard. So we don't talk much about those except some of the learning lessons. I've been fortunate and blessed to coach over 5,329 small business owners, maybe like you, from over 180 niche industries in 9 countries. I've been fortunate to write a handful of books, a couple of hit bestseller status. I've been a regular media contributor, host a weekly radio show and a podcast. Recently featured in Thrive. There's a publication called Influencive. I don't even know how they do these things, quite frankly. But listed as one of the top 25 influencers in this year. And then a recent article in Forbes, which just came out a handful of days ago, listed the podcast that we have as one of the top 3 recommended for lean businesses. So it had a certain level of, but I have to admit, it hasn't always been this way. Maybe like you know, I had some ups, I've had some downs. I also know that they're almost 27 years in business. You know, I've gone through a divorce because of bad business habits. I've gone through bankruptcy because of not being able to understand what Jimmy and I are going to share with you today about client acquisition, or the system of client acquisition mastery. We want to help you eliminate some of the challenges and mistakes that we've made. So Jimmy, I'll turn it back over to you.
Perfect. Thank you. And so really what's happened is Dan and I have recently come together and created a new company called Breakthrough X, where together we've built 4 8-figure companies, 11 7-figure companies, and total between us coach 6,329 business owners from 180 different industries in 9 different countries. So I think, you know, we can help you create a breakthrough just like we did those other business owners, right? And so real quick, our vision is to help 1,000 entrepreneurs add an additional $1 million to their business by 2020, and in fact create a $1 billion, to be able to impact 1 billion people. And so, you know, I've been able to do a few cool things too. I've been on Tony Robbins' only Google interview, his only Google Hangout when those were around, and I've coached side by side with him, been at his business mastery. And the bottom line is, you know, what does that mean to you? Not a whole lot, right? But here's what should matter. In just the past 5 years, the results I've been able to create for my clients are over $101 million in online sales. And so I think just between what Dan and I have been able to do, that we can help you create a breakthrough in your business, right? But I also want to say that our results are not typical, right? There's no such thing as a magic push button that will allow you to make money. Our clients were extraordinary entrepreneurs who served their clients and worked their tail off to get to where they were, right? I don't know you, or I know what you'll be able to do, but I know we can help you. And if you're willing to take massive action, then you will be able to get massive results too, right? So, what this really all comes down to is a system. We have to have a system to robotically create clients, right? The only difference in a business that does does $1.5 million per month, and a business that does $20,000 a month is the number of offers being made, right? So what would it mean to your business if you had a system like this where you could robotically create offers every single day, right? I mean, the question I would ask you is, if you are not making the revenue, the income that you want to be making right now, my first question is, how many opportunities have you offered to someone today to actually pay you money to help them, right? And so if the answer is 0, we can fix that. If the answer is 100, maybe we could help you 10 times that to where it's 1,000, right? Because as simple as it sounds, the fact of the matter is we have to make offers to people. We have to offer them our service so they can pay us money so we can help them create a transformation in their business, right? And so real quick, I want to show you what one of these systems does. Now, I was a member of Genius Network, and I was giving a talk here. I was speaking at this 10-minute talk, and you know, you have to provide $25,000 per minute worth of value. So I gave a great talk on retargeting. Now, one of my clients who became a client, he loved my talk so much, he asked me to come and speak at his mastermind. So I went and spoke at his mastermind, and he loved what I was talking about so much. He sent me a message while I was on stage thinking, January of 2017, wanted to know if I could help him. And I'm like, hey, definitely, this is exactly what we do. So we had a follow-up conversation. He became a client, and I grabbed a screenshot of his Facebook. It's like, holy smokes, Fit Body Bootcamp is growing with a quickness on a global level, right? This is just one of their lead acquisition funnels for getting applications to buy his franchise opportunity, right? And so here they are at the Inc. 500 again, like 2 years in a row, right? So these are the kind of things that can happen when you have a system in place to do this for you. Here's another client, $1.5 million, best month ever. Now, that's not a year, that's in a month. And the only difference is the number of offers he is making to help people, right? Now, if you're someone just starting out, I want you to see how this could happen as well. So, like, here's a $3,000 sale, here's a $2,000 sale. I mean, what would it mean for your business if you could make a 2, a 3, a 10, a $20,000 sale every single day because you had an automated system in place, right? So the one thing I can tell you is, as Dan said, he struggled, is it wasn't always like this for me either, right? So I was frustrated. I had several hundred clients, that were paying me, a decent amount, but not the type of high value clients that I really wanted. And I was working my tail off, and no one ever seemed to be happy. The harder I worked, the more unhappy they were. And I mean, I just felt underpaid, and I was working, and I needed a breakthrough. I mean, have you ever felt frustrated in your business? I certainly have. And so what needed to happen for me was I needed a breakthrough, right? And so everyone told me the place to go and get a breakthrough is this guy that put himself out as the president of the internet. So I went over there, and I got some help from him. And, quite frankly, I invested in his program, and I didn't necessarily have the money to be doing that, but I knew I needed a breakthrough. I knew something needed to change, and I knew there was a better way. So I did whatever I could do to make that happen. And sorry, we got the thing. So the result of that was a blueprint that I've used. And when you combine Dan and I sales together, it's a $201 million in coaching, consulting, and business services, right? And so on that webinar, this is what we're going to talk about, the detailed blueprint. And it's basically 3 steps, right? And so if we look a little deeper into the 3 steps, we're going to be talking about ideal client attraction, right? You'll discover how to attract so many of your ideal clients that you'll be able to pick and choose who you want to invite to become a client, right? This is all about creating a pent-up demand for us using a model where people apply to become our client, right? We're going to talk about how to create a category of one and what that really means for your business. We're going to talk about how to create this automated sales and marketing system so you become the only choice who can deliver the outcome that your clients want. We're going to talk about using a sustainable model so you can get off of the revenue roller coaster and accept those sales that you can make every single day into your model, right? And it's about leverage the same way. And remember, I spoke about by application only. That is my favorite thing. I see a lot of people and teaching an application model now, a strategy session model, and what they're missing is the 10%, but it's the 10% that misses the dial. It's a specific way you have to bring someone into a sequence to have them apply to become your client, right? So let's go ahead and dig into this three-step formula in detail. So step one is to create a category of one, right? Now, what we mean by a category of one is the SOS method, right? We solve one problem, we offer one solution to solve that problem, and we serve one market, right? And the reason we do that is because we become the specialist in our market who solves that problem. You know, let's take a look for our purposes at what constitutes a specialist, right? A specialist is an expert in a particular subject. A specialist solves a particular problem. A specialist offers a particular solution, and a specialist serves a particular market, right? And the best thing about a specialist is a specialist commands premium fees. What about, just think for your business, if you switched your model around and you became a specialist instead of a generalist? There's never been one business that I've helped where we've reduced the amount of things they do, the amount of solutions they have, and we got a narrow focus on solving one problem for one market, for one group of people, that we didn't really explode their sales, right? And the reason that I say that, and the reason is so important, is this is critical for your client attraction, right? It's all about the messaging. It's all about, are we using the right bait? And what happens is when we put out marketing messages and we try and market to people or advertise, we want to cast a wide net so we can serve anyone who may be happening to look or see our advertising. And that's exactly the wrong way to go about it. What we have to do is really have a narrow focus, but not go wide, go very, very deep, right? And so I grabbed these from the dictionary, the online dictionary, a specialist. And it says, what is a specialist? A person who concentrates primarily on a particular subject or activity. A person highly skilled, specific to a specific and restricted field, right? So it's not that, you see, that's one of my major challenges is people are not a specialist, but as soon as we can get someone to become a specialist, I mean like a real deep specialist, then we can help them take things really up several levels. It's the same thing with consultants, right? So one, I was brought up in that way. That was part of the challenge I had. That was part of the problem I needed to go and see Frank Kern, right? Is because I needed a breakthrough, because what I was taught was to go out and offer 10 different things to anybody who would buy my services. And that's how I ended up with a bunch of unhappy clients. And when I made that shift and I really figured this out, it started to click on many different levels. And that's the way we were really able to transform my business, right? It's the same thing with a coach. The biggest thing I ever see is, I mean, the biggest mistake I always see is I don't think it's more prevalent in any industry other than coaching and consulting. It's like if you go to someone's website, here's what it is. Oh, I'm a life coach. I'm a health coach. I'm a grief coach. I'm a business coach. There's so many different coaches that you don't know what they are. You don't know what problem they solve because all of their messaging is about them, right? So let's go ahead and create your specialty right now. Let's take the time right now. You committed to taking action, right? So let's go ahead and create a specialty for you right now. And I'll show you how we do it. It's pretty simple. We're going to define the problem you will solve. We're going to define the solution you will offer to solve that problem. And then we're going to define the market you will serve. Once you have that in place, then you can define your levels of service, right? Because you may have some different levels. So what I mean by that is you may have, it's the same process, it's the same specialty, it's the same thing that you do, but you do it on different levels. So you may have a done for you solution. You may have a done with you solution. So it's like different levels of service, but it's all about that one process, right? And that becomes your specialty. And so let's go ahead and create your power statement right now. And so your power statement is going to be, I help whatever market you serve, right? We're not talking about demographics. And, I help women that are 45 years old lose 10 pounds. That's not what we're talking about. It's like, who is the market you serve? Because we have to understand their language. We have to understand the psychographics of that market. And so you say, I help market you serve get or achieve a certain result or outcome by your unique process, right? Because the last thing you want to do is be a me too, hey, I'm just like everybody else business, right? So this is how you differentiate yourself. And when you start and you differentiate like this is step one in being able to attract clients on autopilot. Right? I want to give you a quick example just from my Facebook page. And so when people ask me what I do, I have one little sentence. It says, and I don't say I'm a coach or I'm a marketing consultant or I help businesses. What I do is I say specifically, I help coaches, consultants, and service professionals, right, rapidly grow their profits. Now, I don't have my system on there, but, of what I do, because that's not quite necessary. It's not about me anyway or my system. It's about creating breakthroughs for other people, right? And so here's a lady that I worked with for several years, and she says, it wasn't until I met Jimmy that I truly realized my capabilities and started thinking bigger, much bigger. I've moved into regular high ticket sales and six-figure contracts, all while serving her clients at a much higher level. We continue to increase revenue and explore new opportunities as a direct reflection of working closely with me. Wouldn't have it any other way, right? And so just imagine someone struggling to get clients. And then they create their category of one. And instead of trying to market to the whole world, they market to one specific market, but not just one specific market. They have one problem that they solve and two levels of how they solve it, right? And this is the kind of stuff that happens. And now this is just a picture. I have it in here. It's from John Bowen. He is the #1 coach for financial advisors. So he is really, really narrow in his focus because he coaches the top 1% of all financial advisors. And he was actually with me in that program that I took from Kern when I needed a breakthrough. And, we went on to actually help John do a few things in his business. Now, he's successful on his own, but we were able to help him make a bit of a difference for him in his business and his clients, right? So let's just imagine if you did this, what would having a category of one do for your business? Do you see how if you make just this one change, it can change the game for you? If you get narrow, if you really do that one thing, if you really become the specialist. You can never be the specialist if you're trying to serve too many people and solve too many problems. It has to get really narrow. And I'm pretty good with Facebook ads, and people ask me to give them an example of what would I do if I was starting over again from scratch. And I say, oh, that's pretty simple. I said, the first thing I would do is I would start running Facebook ads. And so that would be solving a problem of getting someone more clients, right? And then I would say, who would I do this for? Probably an affluent market who has a high value client. So maybe I would serve financial advisors, right? But you say, okay, that's cool, but don't a lot of people run ads for financial advisors? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my method. And I'm going to say, I am only going to run ads for financial advisors who use seminars to sell their services. And the solution that I'm going to provide for them, the problem that I'm going to solve for them, is I'm going to put butts in the seat for their seminar. Right? So I'm not going to be running every type of ad under the sun for financial advisors. I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to fill their seminars with my ads. That is what becomes a category of one. Do you see how if you did something like that, that could change the game for your business? Right? Do you see how powerful it is when we speak in outcomes rather than what we do? So, hey, Jimmy, what do you do? Oh, I'm a coach. I'm a consultant. Hey, Jimmy, what do you do? I help people build 7-figure businesses. I help people add 7 figures to their bottom line, right? So start speaking in outcomes. Think deep about what is this problem you're going to solve, and then do it that way. And so I'm just going to ask you, will you commit to building your power statement now and immediately implementing it by putting it on at least all of your social profiles, right? Do you promise to do that for yourself and for your bigger future? Type a yes in the chat box if you do. Awesome. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Right? So that is step one in the 3-step process, right? Create a category of one. Now, step two is a fully leveraged model, So you've probably seen people that make a lot of money, right? They have the income. Then you see people who don't make much money at all, and they're always busy, right? You need all three things to really have a leveraged model. And so the things that we want to leverage are our income, our time freedom, and our contribution. We want to be able to help so many people, right? And so when you put these three things together where they all intersect, right in the middle, there is a sweet spot, right? And so that's where we want to be. Those are the places we want to be with our model. And there's a couple of specific things that I'm going to show you where we can use to set that model up. And the first part of it is we have to have a leveraged revenue model, right? So we have to leverage our earnings. So the way I look at this is our product and service must have a core front end offer and a premium back end offer, right? And one of the reasons I like this, and it doesn't matter if you have a done for you service or if you have a coaching service, a consulting service, advisory, it doesn't matter, right? If you have an annual service, it works too, because you just set this up where it has a monthly fee and clients pay you in perpetuity, right? So the way this would look is like if I was going to sell a program of standing side by side, helping someone implement a automated sales and marketing funnel in their place, I would literally help them in a 2 or 3 month program get that done. And I would walk them through the whole process side by side, right? And at the end of that, I would have gotten them results, right? Because you have to get people results. And then once I got someone results, and they love me and they trust me and they've got results like they've never gotten before, then I would offer them the next thing, which might be an annual service. And when you do it this way, I'm going to show you why it's such a powerful thing, right? So I want you to think at this moment, like, what is the breakthrough or the transformation you provide? Is it getting more clients? Is it making more money? Is it losing weight? What is it? What is the breakthrough that you provide? And, generally mine is helping people get more clients. So do you think that if I worked with you for 2 or 3 months and I've got you more clients than you've had in the past 8 weeks, I mean, I've got you more clients in the past 8 weeks than you've got in the whole 12 months before that? Do you think you'd be likely to take the next step with me and say, now that this 8 week program is up, I'd like to work together with you for the next year to help you really optimize and get everything in place? Do you see how getting someone results early on and becoming results based, having messaging that this is the breakthrough that you provide, do you see how that sets up and maximizes the next step? I mean, I've seen stuff like this in my own business and my client's business where the next step is like at a 40% conversion. And that is really unheard of. But when you put it in this type of model, it becomes the norm, right? And so we have to leverage this earnings. And the way we do that is using what I call the freedom maximizer. It's a 3-step business model. So we have a core service offer. And so say it's $5,000 for your core service offer, something where you're not going to just coach and talk and teach. You're going to side by side help someone get a specific result, right? And then at the end of that, you're going to have your profit maximizer, which could be annual ongoing support or a mastermind where you can really help them build upon the success that you help them get in the first 8 weeks, right? And then, this is optional, the invisible downsell, but I like to have something that is a lower ticket price. So when we have someone on the phone and they're not ready for the workshop, a certain percentage of those people will take the invisible downsell. Now, I've seen 8-figure businesses have nothing but these 3 offers and really, really do well. I mean, you have to be doing well to get to 8 figures, right? And so you may be saying, I have way more products than this, and I'm already making 2 or 3 million a year. How would this help me? And what I would say is if you're not at 10 million a year or more, that you can install this in your business right now and have it work, right? And so let's dig a little bit deeper in. I want to show you what could be, just an example of this. And so here's a theoretical example. I'm going to show you how that looks in having a system. And I don't want to get necessarily into the clicks needed and stuff like that. But what I really want you to see when you set up this model is look to the far right. You see $27,000 in total sales in month 1. In month 2, you see $27,000. Now in month 3, you see it jump to $52,000, right? Month 4, $52,000. And if you look at the numbers, you haven't sold any more of your CSO units. It's 5, right? What brought that up is the model. It basically doubled the amount of profit in this business, specifically because there was a front end and a back end. So if, say, you want to make $100,000 a month, right? What this means is, if you want to make $100,000 a month and you had a $5,000 workshop, you would think that you would need to sell 20 units per month, right? Because that equals 100,000. Well, that's not necessarily true, because when you look at your back end conversion, if you sold 20 units a month, you'd be closer in the $150,000 to $200,000 per month range, depending on the price of your back end program. And I know, Dan, you've seen a lot of this. What is your what is your take on this revenue model with having the 3 core service offers?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, for simplicity, I mean, there's a lot of different industries we've installed this with, and a lot you can do. But here's a simple equation. When you have what Jimmy is referring to as a PMO, which look at that as a back-end premium service. So your CSO is your core service offer. If you have a solid premium offer, PMO, many times what you will find is you'll get 4 times the revenue on that premium back end offer than you will on your front end. So if your front end offers are generating, call it 100,000 a month, well, what's 4 times of that? So that's pretty simple potential math there, right? Then you add the invisible downsell offer, it becomes another multiplier. Like, for example, one of the clients that I'd worked with recently, their model is free and then high priced, right? And their model is built around an event model, essentially, as their core service offering. And their event is actually a premium event, but it's their core offer of it's a $10,000 event. And by the way, they only do this event once a year, but they're marketing it throughout the entire year, right? And so their event is 10,000, and then their premium offer, call it the back-end premium offer, is $25,000 for what they do, right? And the company does millions of dollars, multi-millions of dollars with just these 2 things. And if I mention the company name and I mention the person that runs the company, you would know who they are, because they're in many ways a celebrity expert. So although this is very simple with what Jimmy is sharing, don't underestimate the power of simplicity. One of my favorite quotes from Oliver Wendell Holmes is, "I wouldn't give a fig to be on the other side of complexity, but I'd give my life to be on this side of simplicity." What we want for you, I mean, what would happen for you if you were able to put a leveraged model like this in place, and you were able to go out there and have 20% of people that bought your core service offering, right? And then you had another percentage of people that bought your premium back-end offer, right? And then you had a certain percentage of people that bought your lower ticket product. But what happens, the biggest mistake I see that drives me crazy is watching good, hardworking people struggling to build their business. Why? Because they're following old strategies. And what is an old strategy? Not that it can't work, because there's a lot of ways to be right, but a hard way, an old way of doing this is what's called the forced ascension model, where you start people off with a low price product, a $7 to $47 product, then you have a $197 product and a $497 product, and you move them up, what they call up the ladder, until you finally get later, much later, into the higher priced offers. Now, I'm all for a variety of things, but what if you could just start with a high, because here's the thing, would you like more high qualified, right fit candidates? Chances are the answer to that is yes, right? So what if you start with promoting to a higher quality client from the moment you start? Then what happens is those people that don't buy your core offer, that is more a higher price, you can then offer them the lower ticket, and it almost seems like they're getting money at a discount. And what you'll see sometimes is better conversions that way. And we can show you how to avoid the struggle if you know the old method may not be work, or maybe you just haven't perfected your sales presentation yet, or your copy as of yet. But it's as simple as a core service offer with a premium offer with an invisible downsell. And I know Jimmy is just posted a couple stats here, but you know, I encourage you really, even though it's simple and we're going through this fairly quickly, you know, if there's one thing you take away from this, is that what can you do today to put in a solid core service offer? What can you do today to focus on a premium high? And by the way, when we're talking about this, it's all high value to the end user. Whatever you charge, look to have that breakthrough worth at least 10 times whatever you charge, right? And then also have a great invisible downsell offer. And if you do this right, not only will you have the ability to have a bigger impact, a bigger reach, you'll have a bigger contribution, you'll find greater profitability instead of thin margins. And you know what? Having buried 3 of my companies in the backyard, a big reason for that is because I didn't really understand. I was so busy chasing clients and how many clients I could get versus what was the most productive thing to do at every given moment. And this is one of those models that can help you do that efficiently and effectively.
Thank you, Dan. And, you know, these numbers I put up on the bottom, the reason I love these numbers so much, so it doesn't matter if you're just starting out and you want to build $1 million business, or if you're already at several million and you want to add 1 million, it is so much easier than you think. So if you look in the middle box, I have 40 L's a month. What that means is 40 leads per month, which basically means 2 leads per business day, right? Would you like to add $1 million to your business by getting 2 leads per business day? I mean, sometimes when you think about it, depending on where you are, you're like, man, how many customers? How much is this? And, you know, how much more am I going to have to do? But when you follow the percentages and you follow the model, it literally takes 2 leads per business day to increase your bottom line by $1 million or more annually, right? So the next thing we do is, after we've set our revenue model up, where we're going to leverage income and our earning capacity, we have to leverage our delivery of the service, right? And so the way we do that is by productizing our service. And you may be wondering, what is productizing your service, right? So there are probably, I've found across every single market, excuse me, that I've worked with, about 80% of what you do is repetitive. Only about 20% is custom to the different business. So if you systematize your business so you can create tools, templates, video training, swipe files to give to your clients to learn, to study, and to use, it cuts down on the amount of one-on-one time with you and your team, right? So what we're saying when I say productize your business, we're trying to turn it into repeatable systems, taking what you have, putting it into a system so you could hand the instructions off, right? Some people do this in a digital course. Some people do it in video. Some people do it in audio. It doesn't really matter. We look for ways that we can deliver leveraged information that creates transformation. You see, one of the biggest things that hold people back that I've found is the information product peddlers. And I'm sorry for calling them that, but it's what they want to give you 43 different bonuses. And that's great to want to add value. But like, what they're doing is giving you stuff to pull you away from your primary purpose, right? So if you can create a clear path to get from point A to point B with as little tools, training, and templates as possible, then you can have another path to go from point B to as far down the alphabet as you want to go. And some of the ways we do that is like, you know your common questions, you know what your FAQs are. You can set up a support desk, create a wiki so you can have support personnel answering people rather than you or your team doing it. Now, that's just some simple ways, right? You can also start, and I'd ask you right now, every time you do something from this moment on, capture the process of you doing it and turning it into a system. Then create a training from it, give it a little bit of context, and you can turn that into your internal systems and processes, right? I mean, one of the biggest things we can do is create a client onboarding system so it's automated in Basecamp, right? Did you know in Basecamp you could create a template and have all of the information you need from the client, what you want them to do, what you're going to do for them, and create a template, put their name on it, and send it out. That will save you hours and hours of creating a new onboarding process for every single person that comes through the door, right? And so one of the ways we leverage our service deliveries is this works in almost every industry that I've seen, is by creating an 8 to 12 week group workshop, right? And it's digital training. So you're going to provide digital training, tools, templates. But what's going to be different here is you create live Q&A calls. Now, not these calls where people call in and there are hundreds of people, because you can't speak to person. Not this type of call where type your question in the chat box, because you can't get context and you can't create a breakthrough like that, right? So you work in small groups to get leverage, but you still provide the breakthroughs that people need. And then if your model is where you provide one-on-one or done for you, it's just all about the systems that you put in place so you can support your clients and cut down your personal fulfillment to just a few hours a week, right? And so here is something that I have in one of my trainings, right? So I've got a step-by-step process where you start here and you go through a bunch of different modules, 6 modules, and in that 8 weeks, you're going to get from point A to point B. I don't have a bunch of bonuses and resources and all of that stuff to take you off track. I teach you exactly what you need to know to get that one breakthrough. And so, what would it be like for you, right, if you were creating that one breakthrough? So, Tony Robbins has a belief that the biggest chokehold in any business is the owner's psychology, right? And then Brendan has this great quote, the small business quote. It's like, don't let your small business keep you small minded, right? And then I really believe that the biggest bottleneck in any business owner is his willingness and ability to create processes and systems. And they become the ultimate bottleneck in the system, right? And what the ultimate system really looks like is when you have an automated marketing system that has a core service offer, a product maximizer, an invisible downsell, and it all happens without your good look, charms, and personality, right? I remember when my business was solely focused on me running around to every mastermind in sight, every event, talking to people, helping people. Then, a lot of those people that I helped became clients. But you know what? The minute I stopped running around and and networking and putting on dog and pony shows, my leads dried up, right? So the ultimate system was able to take me out of the picture, where I was getting people reaching out to work with me every single day of the week. So I didn't have to travel. So I could stay home with my family, all of that good stuff that you want to do, right? And then when you're truly leveraged, right? And you've leveraged your income, you've leveraged your time freedom, the contribution, the number of people that you can help, because you've taken the time to systematize your business and you can actually serve more people. This is what freedom looks like, right? You hit the trifecta, and now you're earning more income, working less hours, doing work that you love, and you're making a bigger impact on the world. What would that be like for you if you hit that sweet spot right there? I mean, imagine this: more income, bigger impact, more time freedom, and a bigger contribution for you, right? What would that do for you if you had a system in place where it may take 10 hours a week to deliver your service to your clients, help them create incredible breakthroughs, and then spend about another 10 hours a week working on growing your business, right? Not working in the business, but working on the business of growing your business, right? What would that do for your bottom line? What impact would that have for you, your family, your employees, your community, right? Remember, when I asked you to commit, you said you'd commit, right? And so, what I'd like you to commit to doing is creating a system from now on. Every single time you do something, capture the process and start turning that into your systems and processes so you can hand that off to an assistant. If you find yourself doing things that you can delegate, it's time to turn it into a system and let them delegate. And the one thing that I can tell you that I know for sure, the reason people don't hire anyone is because they don't want their own job to become harder, because they're not scared, because they're concerned that they're going to hire someone and things are going to get harder for them. And that's true. And the reason that's true is because I never, you don't have training. And I'm going to speak to myself, right? So, like, every time I tried to hire someone, it became a nightmare. And they were asking me questions and all of these questions. And, how do I do this? What about that? And finally, I would just say, I I'll just do it myself. It's easier than explaining. And then once I realized that I could leverage that and put training, turn each of my things into a process, then I could hand off a PDF or a video, whatever form I captured it in, and have someone else do that for me, right? That's what true freedom is. And when you have that freedom, you get better results for your clients, and you're only doing your very best work. Think about that. If you could do only the thing that you loved instead of everything you have to do. Now you're probably wondering, like, okay, well, this sounds pretty good, but how would I productize my business? So I want to show you this one guy. So this gentleman's actually a mortgage broker, okay? In Tennessee. He's a mortgage broker, and he's like, I just don't understand how I can productize my business, how we can make this happen. And so he joined my program, and I stood with him side by side for 8 weeks, and we went through, and I helped him get this done. And so here is a testimonial from the gentleman, where he said, hey, I want to give a big thank you to our fearless leader, Jimmy Harding, for what he has opened my eyes to over the last few years. Here are my results so far this month. And I don't know if you can see it at the very bottom, but it's like $117,800, right? Plus, they also have an affiliate that pays them $20K per month, plus 30% of his sales. He collects his own merchant. So at the end of the month, he averages paying him uh, around $45,000, right? So here's someone wondering, how can I productize my business? How is this going to work, right? And what he said is if this redneck from a small town in Tennessee can do it, anyone can. Just show up and do the work, right? So what would it mean for your business if you were just showing up and doing the work? What if serving your prospects really means more sales? What is, what is it that really will take your business to the next level? And we're going to talk about that because we just finished up the leveraged model, and there's one more piece, because here's what I have, here's what I hear so often when I talk about it, right? People say, this 3-step thing, that sounds really good, Jimmy, but here's the problem. I don't need leverage. I need clients, right? So let's go ahead and dig in, because I understand that. I understand that your biggest challenge may be that you just need more clients, but you have to have those first 2 steps in place. The best way to attract clients is to get clear on who you serve, the outcome you provide, and how you help people get that specific outcome. When you become results based, right? We have to start thinking about results, because we're now in the results economy. So we need to get our messaging clear, which is in step 1. In step 2, we have to put together systems and processes that will help get the breakthroughs, get the results that your clients are looking for. So that sets up the conversion for your second step. I mean, I can't tell you how many times that I've helped someone, and they may be struggling making a certain amount, and like in the first 2 months we're working together, they've gone up by 50 or 100 or sometimes even 500% in those 2 months. So when I've helped them create that result, it's not even a question of me offering them something. They're already asking at the end of the engagement, what's the next step, Jimmy? Right? What else can we do? And so we have to get into that results-based economy, right? And how do we do that where we can set up this sales and automated marketing machine in your business? How does that happen? Well, it starts by taking the first 2 steps, right? And what we really have to do is think about, how do we set ourselves up and be different in the marketplace than anyone else? We get this term thrown around all the time, thought leader, thought leader, thought leader. Well, you know what? What about if you became a results leader, right? And the clients you work with, you create phenomenal results for them. The fastest way to gain authority is in the marketplace. It's not to get written up in some article or do a press release and get media logos. I mean, yeah, that's good stuff to have, but it's not where you start. The fastest place to start is to get results for your clients, right? So what if you turned your focus? What if you narrowed that focus on the SOS model? You put the results-based systems in place, so everything is leveraged. You start to get tremendous results for your clients, right? then people start to look at you as the results leader, not the thought leader, right? But what if you could combine those two things? What about if you were a thought leader who got results? If your whole business was built around getting your clients amazing breakthroughs and results, what would happen then? I mean, let me ask you a question. If you had the opportunity to work with a thought leader on the chance you may hear some different things that would be good for you, or a results leader who you knew the probability of going to that person was going to get you a result much higher than if you went to the thought leader, who would you choose? I know who I would choose. I would choose the results person, right? And so we've all been told that content marketing is a must, right? And really what I believe content marketing is it has a place, but it's not the first place you go. I mean, in fact, I really believe that content marketing is a soul crushing endeavor, right? Unless you do it right. It's a beast who, if not contained, can take on a life of its own, right? What we have to do is really turn to educational based marketing, right? And educational based marketing is, in a way, it's content marketing, but it has a twist to it, right? So I remember back when I had my construction company, and we did storm damage, right? So think of someone whose house was flooded, and I was going to knock on their door to see if I could help them clean up the mold so they wouldn't get sick, right? I hated selling and I hated knocking on people's door because of the trauma that they had just been through, right? Client attraction is putting the right message in front of the right person at the right time. Now, me knocking on someone's door in a disaster zone is not the right message or the right timing. So I changed my approach. And what I did, because I cared so much, I was in the marketplace and I was watching people basically rip off other people by not doing what they were supposed to do that would take care of the mold problem at the source, right? And so what I did is I wrote a little guide, and I gave them, here are the things you must do to make sure your mold is gone and doesn't come back, and here are the things that you must look for in a service provider, right? So I wanted to make sure that whether I ever helped that person or not, they were left better off, right? And I tell you, I didn't even realize it at the time. I didn't even know that that was educational based marketing. It was just my love for people, my care for the marketplace, that I didn't want to see anyone get ripped off anymore. And when I created that guide, that checklist, and I started leaving them, these are the things you do to make sure your mold is gone for good, never comes back. And these are the things that you have to look for in a service provider to make sure you don't get taken advantage of. When I started doing that and I started leaving that on every place we visited, the whole game changed. And you see, it went from me chasing prospects to them seeking me out, right? Simply because I started to educate them. But here's the key: not just educate them, but give them useful, actionable content that truly helped my prospects, right? Nothing that I ever did in over 20 years of business in my construction company created a demand for my services like that, right? All of the other stuff that I did was all about me or all about the great house I could build. It was never about the prospect, you see. And that's when I started to understand about messaging. That's when I started to understand about how I was in such demand, because I wasn't there to clean up their mold and rewire their house and put new plumbing in and put new sheetrock in. I was there to remediate their mold. You see, I was a category of one, and that just truly changed the game for me. And that's why this is so important, right? Now, the one thing I will say is that you don't want to be, when you decide what you're going to give to your people, don't be the parent who's forcing their kid to eat Brussels sprouts just because they're good for them. You see, what we do sometimes is we want to give our clients what we think is good for them, but what we really need to give them is breakthroughs and transformations. Remember, we're in the results economy these days, right? So, what does this look like? What does this look like? So, here are a couple of ways that, couple of things we can use in educational based marketing. Now, I love tools, calculators, checklists, PDF letters, videos, books. I mean, the possibilities are endless, right? But here's what's mission critical. There are three elements that these things use, that this content, that this educational based marketing must have. And what those three elements are is it has to be useful to them. In a perfect world, I'd like it to be diagnostic, right? Where they can diagnose themselves and see where they are on the scale of things. The second thing it has to have is a soft, subtle pitch, a call to action to get more help. And the third piece is it has to be robotic. Remember, the more offers we make, the more people we help, the more money we make. It's not dependent on us. It's not us putting on a dog and pony show. It's something that happens automatically and systematically, right? And so here's the process that we really want to use. What we want our system to do is we want it to attract people. We want it to pre-sell people. And then we want to have an opportunity to enroll them in our specific process, right? Now, I remember Dan had about 50 reps that would read a one-page script to qualify people who would call into a phone number, and then they would hand the job off to someone else who would enroll them in his process and by playing them a tape, right? I mean, some people call this canning and cloning. I remember Joe Polish did an automated video sales letter when he was selling from the stage at GKIC, right? A seminar. And he holds the record of the highest sale from stage. And it didn't come from him pitching, it came from him playing a video. See, this is canning and cloning ourselves, right? And for several years, Dan personally, we've had automated webinars, videos, other content running, right? And who knows, depending on when you're seeing this webinar, it may just end up being automated as well, right? But what we want to do is show you how to put something like this in place for your business, right? And so let me show you real brief how this may or may not look, right? So on the left, we have traffic. Traffic is different than marketing, right? So we may have an ad, or we may send an email. We may speak someplace. We may do a joint venture. Doesn't really matter. That traffic goes to a webinar. We're using a webinar in this case. It's a way, but we found that there's about 4 different ways that that work and get people engaged in the process. So in this case, we're going to send people to a webinar. People are going to watch the webinar. It's going to be very useful, and it's going to have a soft call to action. Hey, apply to see, if you want us to go farther with you, If you want us to help you implement what we just taught you, then go ahead and apply. And if you're a right fit, we're going to take you through a consultative sales process. And we're going to find out if you're truly a good fit. Because remember, we are in the results economy, right? And so if you look at a system like this and you may wonder, how do I get, how do I get all of that in place? But it's really just a 4-step system. It's traffic, it's content, it's an application, and it's a consultative sale, right? And so let's go ahead and look at one of the funnels, right? That's a big buzzword in the market right now. It's a funnel. So you may see a Facebook ad that goes to a registration page, to an automated webinar, to a survey, which is the application to fill out to apply for a breakthrough session, right? It's pretty darn easy. And you hear this marketing funnel, but it's a simple, elegant way. And really what it is it's a automated sales and marketing system, right? And so say you were to pay $1 every time someone clicked on your Facebook ad, and 25% of the people that clicked on the ad registered for the webinar. And say half of those people, 50%, watched the webinar. And then of the 50% that watched the webinar, 10% applied to see how you could help them more. And then you had your enrollment specialist that enrolled 20% of the 10% that applied. Let me show you what this would look like in numbers. So you have 1,000 clicks is $1,000. You have 250 leads at $4 each. You have 125 people watch your webinar. You have 12 and a half people, if we can get a half a person, that would apply, which is 10% for a breakthrough session. And then out of that, your 20% rate, you end up with two $5,000 sales, right? So let's look at this a little bit deeper. You've just invested $1,000 to sell two $5,000 programs, which is $10,000, right? So you spent $1,000 to get back 10, of which 9 is profit. Now, let's say, well, Jimmy, I'm not as experienced as you. I don't know if I could do that. Well, let's just say you did half. What would it do for your business if every time you invested $1,000 to get your offer in front of people and you enrolled just one person, which is $5,000? That's a $4,000 profit. I mean, what if you could do that every single day? What would an extra $4,000 per day mean to you, right? And then after that, we just showed you how the system works, but part of the system is basically the 12 steps to mastering client enrollment, right? Now, here's the thing. I never really did like selling, and I always felt awkward about it, right? And I came up with these 12 steps without even realizing it. So it's just the way I was. Like, I hate selling, but I love serving, right? Kind of sounds like the checklist I made for my mold people, right? And I figured this out. Someone asked me to show them what I do. And I'm like, man, I'm not sure exactly what I do, but I'm going to try and reverse engineer this. And what I figured out is I was never really trying to sell my product or service. What I was trying to do is compel someone to enroll into their bigger future, right? And that's when things really started changing for me. I stopped looking at sales and I started looking at enrollment, but not enrollment into my program, enrollment into their bigger future. And this is really a game changer, right? I mean, imagine that you were a specialist in your category, you had a predictable way of getting clients to call you, and then you start using the 12 steps process to enroll new clients, right? And you're actually having fun doing this. Now, at the end, I'm going to go through these 12 steps for you. It's just a little bonus content, but I want to respect everyone's time and get through to it so we can do it. So let's just keep moving on because it's a little lengthy, right? But what I want you to see is here's a client like 10 days ago, 12 days ago, whatever it is, November 10th. It's like I've been off my game for a while due to some serious personal injuries. Started doing strategy calls again, following Jimmy's 12-step formula, and boom, 2 calls, 100% close rate this week, right? It just makes selling a whole lot of fun when you can change it into enrollment and enroll people into their future, not have to read a script or anything, just follow this process. Do this, do this, do this, do this, and do it in order, right? And here's another guy, right, wants to give me a massive shout out about how I helped him triple his business in just a few months, right? And in my simple formula, PPC ad, webinar, sales call, right? And here's another guy. He did like 144,000 that month using the system. And what he told me is I've done more enrollment calls in the past 8 weeks than I've done in the 10 years prior, right? And it's all because we made it fun, because we switched it around, we reframed it, right? And that is the 12-step formula, right? That is the 12-step formula. The category of one, the leverage model, and the client acquisition system, right? So let's talk real quick about what we covered. We covered how to attract your perfect clients, how to create a category of one, how to create a compelling offer, how to use a 2-step revenue model, how to easily enroll more clients, even if you hate selling, right? How to get offer distribution so you can make more impact, how to structure your content so it sells without selling, how to productize your service, even if you're a mortgage broker, so you can serve more people, right? And how to leverage your model so you can make more money, and how to earn more, work less, and be fulfilled. That's a tagline from one of my students. I thought I would borrow it for this webinar, right? So I've got a question for you. Was today's content valuable? Did you enjoy our time together? Do you see how just implementing one of these steps could change your business? Would being able to attract the right clients at the right price change your business? Do you see how big the profit from the back end is? Dan said it's 4 times. I say it's a minimum of 2 to 3 times. If you have the right model set up, you don't have to make as many sales as you may think, because you're only thinking about the front end, right? And are you committed to hitting your goals in the next 90 days, right? So you have 2 choices at this point. It's obvious you have at least some success or you wouldn't be here today, right? But I believe I've equipped you with what you need to go out and make this happen on your own. I'm certain with just this information we've covered today, you can make a go of it on your own like never before. And if that was your only option, it'd be worth pursuing, right? I just asked you to commit to implementing these strategies in your business today, right? But what if? What if there was another option, an option that allowed us to go at this together, a chance to go deeper than we can in one measly webinar, right? Connecting one measly time. What if I played an active role in your success? Not just me, but Dan, right? We've coached over 6,329 people together, have built 4 8-figure companies, several 7-figure companies. What if you had us sitting side by side, shoulder to shoulder, helping you implement a system like this in your business? What if we had responsibility in your success and had an obligation to your outcome? How would that make things different for you, right? Do you think in that situation we could empower you with any and all resources at our disposal to stack the deck in your favor to make success all but inevitable? If we had shortcuts and support systems and more insights that go even deeper and more thorough into getting you the result you want, desire, and frankly, I say deserve, right? If I had such an option for you, would you want to hear more about it? That's why, with great pleasure, today we're offering you a free breakthrough session, right? So just go to jimmyharding.com/apply. And remember early on, I said we would give everyone a gift who stayed to the end, and we're going to do that, right? Everyone's going to receive my famous Facebook ad template builder. It's a tool that you can use to build a Facebook ad that has generated well over $100 million in sales, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to email that out to everyone that stayed with us the whole time. So that'll be coming to you, right? Now, let's talk about this breakthrough session for those who want to go a little farther and see if we may be able to help you in your business, right? Just go to jimmyharding.com/apply, and we're going to show you how you could implement these 3 steps in your business, right? So for the next 48 to 72 hours, we've set aside some time to speak to you. Now, you're going to end up speaking to us. We're not going to send you to a phone room with a bunch of salesmen. Right now, Dan and I are personally taking these calls. So you'll probably end up speaking to either me or Dan, right? So when you apply, when you want to find out how we can help you side by side, and you go to jimmyharding.com/apply, schedule the call, complete the small survey, and if we can help you, we'll go ahead and book that call, right? So this is how it's going to work. This is how it works, right? You go to jimmyharding.com/apply, you schedule your call at a time that's convenient for you. After that call, you're going to be brought to a short questionnaire to complete, right? Nothing intrusive. We need to know, who you are, what you do, what your price point is, a few things so we can find out if we can actually help you, right? And we need to know these things so we can craft a plan that actually works for you. In other words, we have to make sure we can actually help you before we confirm the call. We don't want to waste your time, or we don't want to waste our time, right? So go ahead to jimmyharding.com/apply, schedule your call, complete your survey, send it in to us. If we think we can help you, we're more than happy to confirm your call. If we can't help you, if you're selling, vitamins or essential oils or some type of MLM, we can't help you. We're not going to confirm the call. We'll go ahead and cancel it. But if you sell a high value product or service, and we think we can help you, we'll definitely go ahead and confirm that. So let me say real quick who this is not for, right? Instant experts who want to learn something and then turn around and teach it. This is not for get rich people, where you want to get rich without doing any work. Because although this is simple, it takes work. And although we're side by side with you, helping you implement it, if you don't do the work, it's not going to help neither of us, right? And you must be open minded and an action taker, right? No MLMs, no biz op, no recruiting for downline. It's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that our process doesn't work for that type of stuff. Now, who this is for is anyone who solves a problem that can support a premium price, right? You must be able to deliver results. Remember, we talked about the results based economy that we're in. If you get yourself results, you need to book a call with us at jimmyharding.com/apply, right? You must be absolutely committed to hitting your goals, right? You must be open minded and an action taker. And you must be committed to making a difference in the world. So you're probably wondering, why are two guys like us, like Dan and myself, doing these free calls? Well, there's two reasons, actually, right? Two reasons. And number one is we love to help people create a big breakthrough in their business. So that's reason number one. When you go to jimmyharding.com/apply and apply for your call, we'll get on the phone with you if it's a fit, and we'll help you create a big breakthrough in your business by showing you how you can apply these strategies. And then the second reason, full disclosure, this is how we attract clients, right? Many times after a breakthrough session, people ask us to help them implement the strategies that we talked about on the phone in their business, right? And if you're interested, and if it's a right fit, and we're certain we can help you, and we have the availability, we may invite you to become one of the clients we take on this month, right? I know that may sound odd, but that's the way we do business. We only work with people who we know absolutely we can help, right? So go to jimmyharding.com/apply and book your complimentary breakthrough session, right? This is the part where we normally go into a lot of questions, but we're offering a breakthrough session right now. So if you have any questions about anything we spoke about, just go to jimmyharding.com/apply and ask us the question in person. You'll get Dan or I on the phone. And now what I want to do is step back for a minute and talk about the bonus. I said we were going to go back to the bonus, right? So here are the 12 steps that I want to go through briefly while respecting everyone's time, the 12 steps to mastering client enrollment, right? And so here we are. When the first thing that I do is I ask someone, why me? Why now? What's important that, you want to do something about this problem, and why did you specifically reach out to me? Boom. Then the next thing I do is I set the agenda and I say, okay, this is the way that we run the calls. You see, you have to be in control. So number two, set the agenda. Number three, you're going to go ahead and seed the offer, right? Now, seeding the offer is just say, hey, we're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about your problems. I'm going to give you the strategies, and, you tell me what you need help with, and we'll go through it. And if at the end of this call, I think I can help you, if there's a way I can help you, I'll let you know about that, right? And then number four, I don't know what happened on my slide, is ask the X Factor question. Now, the X Factor question is a question from Dan Sullivan. And the way I use it, I say, if we were having this conversation 12 months from today, what would have had to happen in your business for you to be happy with your progress? right? Now, there are a lot of reasons that that is framed that way, but go ahead and get the Dan Sullivan question book. It's called The X Factor or the Dan Sullivan question, right? Go ahead and get that. And then what we do is we actively take notes. We have to actively take notes and make sure that this thing happens. Then what we do is we build the bridge. And what building the bridge is we say, okay, here's where you are, here's where you want to get to, and this is how we're going to do it. So the process, your process, the result that you create for people is the bridge. Okay? 7, what we do after we build the bridge is we get the buy-in. You have to get the buy-in. So like it's a simple, quick nuance, and you say, okay, that plan that we just created together, does that sound good? Sound like it'll work? Sound like something you want to do? Get the buy-in, because if you just help them build a bridge that they don't like or they don't want to cross, the chance of them enrolling is 0, right? So if you don't get the buy-in, you go back and recreate the bridge. Now, number 8 is you go 5 levels deep. And what this is, I don't know if you've ever heard Dean Graziosi, but he has this thing called 7 levels deep, right? And so you may ask someone, what you want to do is ask them 5 times why whatever they told you they wanted to achieve is important, right? And so if someone wants to lose 20 pounds, well, why is losing 20 pounds important to you? You know, oh, so my husband would think he looks good. Real thinks I look good. Well, really? Well, why is that important to you? Well, I don't want him to leave me. So you're at 3 levels, and you just keep going through that until you get 5 reasons why. And then you're at the core level of what they really want, because what you have to do is sell, offer, enroll people into what they want, right? Because they don't want your program, they want a solution for whatever at the 5th level deep, right? And then this is a nice nuance right here. So at number 9, we ask them what they need for success, right? So we don't try and fit someone into our program. We wrap our program around what they need. And in order to do that, we have to actively take notes in number 10, right? Then we get to 11, and that's where we wrap it around. And so if someone asks me, and I say, what do you need to be able to do that? And they say, oh, I need examples. I'm like, oh, well, I've taken care of that for you. Here's this funnel we use. There's your example right there. What else do you need? Oh, I need I need to talk to my coach, every day and find this out and find that out. What if I have questions between calls? I'm like, well, that's perfect, because I talk to every single person every single week. So anything you need, that's okay. And if you have questions between our calls, we have a private Facebook group. We'll stay in constant communication, right? So I'm reassuring them that the way I'm going to take them across the bridge is going to be in alignment with what they think they need for ultimate success, right? And then after you do this, after you wrap your offer around them, the very next thing is you close the sale and enroll your new client. Now, this seems, I know it's simple, right? But if you make a checklist and you put these 12 things down and you check each one of those off and you keep your call structure like this, things seriously change, right? Because remember the testimonials that I just showed you a few minutes ago of what happens when you do this kind of thing? I remember Philip, he was on, he was having a little trouble closing sales, and I introduced him to this, and he said, This was the greatest sales call I ever had. I didn't close that sale, but I felt so great by serving someone. And the person I was on the phone with felt so great that it was unbelievable. And that's what we want to do. That's what we want to change away from selling to serving, right? Because we all know that the sale doesn't always happen on the first time. But what we've done is just given so much goodwill that when that person is ready to solve that problem, they're going to come back and see us because we just gave them the experience of a lifetime. Dan?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think
Yeah,
about the 12 steps? Anything?
I love the 12 steps. I mean, imagine this as you're listening and watching right now. Like, what would happen for you? Like, let's say whatever your enrollment rate is right now, let's say it's X. Well, what if using this approach helped you increase 3 or 4 times X, right? We've used a very similar approach for years, and many of our top people that use this type of method are enrolling somewhere close to 4 to 5 out of 10 people they talk to, 40 to 50%, which is unheard of in enrollment. And yet it's so simple. And what would happen for you if you had as high as a 40 to 50% enrollment rate? Would that change the game for you? And that's what Jimmy is proposing here. And again, another one of those things as far as, simple and keeping it simple. I mean, because at the end of the day, with all of what Jimmy has been able to share with you, the 3-step model, the SOS, being able to have the right model, category of 1, the right model that's leveraged, as well as client acquisition, or what I'll even just call enrollment. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you've got a real simple action that you can take. If what we've been sharing with you feels right and you'd like to go deeper with it, you'd like to learn a little bit more, I challenge you to go to jimmyharding.com/apply. That's jimmyharding.com/apply. The link is right down on the page that you can see now, because here's the deal. I mean, there are a lot of options out there. Now, I will tell you that the most expensive information, I think I first heard this from Joe Polish, the most expensive information is bad information, and it breaks our heart watching good people, hardworking people, talented people struggling to build and grow and scale their business in a profitable way. And we want to help you avoid some of those pitfalls. So if you're struggling, and here's probably what you're struggling with, you've got more ideas than you know what to do with. You're swimming in ideas. You're swimming in opportunity. You might be swimming in shiny objects. You don't need a new idea. What would change the game for you? Implementation, wouldn't it? I mean, think about it. How would your business be impacted right now if you were able to implement more? Well, what if we could show you how to do it? You want to know how we show you how to do it? You want to know how we work side by side with you? Not in a theoretical way, like a lot of people try to disguise their, but truly work side by side with you, shoulder to shoulder, looking over your shoulder, reviewing your copy, reviewing your ads, reviewing your model, helping tweak it directly, not in a theory. Well, you want to find out how we do that? Go to jimmyharding.com/apply. That's jimmyharding.com/apply. Because at the end of the day, you know as well as I do, what's the biggest difference between knowledge and wisdom, right? What is that? What is the biggest difference between knowledge and wisdom? It's experience, right? Think about that. And what creates experience? Is it reading about it? Is it watching a show about it? No, it's about action. I mean, where you're at right in this given moment today is a result of the actions you've taken, and you're smart enough to still be with us. So you've taken the right kind of actions. It's not about the knowledge you've gained, right? The biggest lie in the world is what? Knowledge is what? You've heard it. Knowledge is power. Knowledge isn't power. Knowledge is potential power, isn't it? What makes the difference? Action. Action makes the difference, and it gives you the experience. So if I can get real here for a second, I mean, if you're struggling with being caught up in a bunch of ideas, and you're struggling with implementing, and you're struggling with creating an automated sales system, and you're struggling with generating the number of leads that you feel would be the right amount of leads. You're struggling with sales. You're struggling with being a high profit, high growth, small staff business. I encourage you to fill out your application, because at the end of the day, imagine if I were to walk you through the blueprint side by side here together over time that we've been talking about today, this blueprint, but we work with you on an ongoing basis to do this. Do you think that you'd be further ahead as a result? I mean, seriously, I mean, do you think you'd be further ahead, or do you think you'd be in the same place that you are right now? Or do you think you'd be further behind if we did that, right? See, if you don't take action, we all know what's going to happen, nothing, right? If we don't take action, nothing happens. So you'd be further behind. And we don't want that for you. I mean, things are moving fast today, aren't they? Right? I mean, if you're standing still, I mean, you're losing ground, right? You're falling behind. For the time that we've been on, we've shared a ton of strategy with you. And nothing breaks my heart. Jimmy and I had a conversation, I should say, last week with a potential client. And we can help them and we can serve them. And they need our help. They really need our help. And we talked to them, one of the steps, and they said they have a deep desire. They're hungry to add $1 million in revenue to their business. Well, what does that look like? On top of what they're doing now, that's about $3,000 a day in business, right? And they were all excited, right? You know, a lot of people who get excited in that moment. And they were supposed to take action and follow up with us the next day. And now it's been about 7 days later. Well, 7 times about 3,000 is $21,000 that they've lost, that they'll never get back. Because more important than money is time, right? And once you lose that time, you don't get it back. And what's it costing most people today, because they've been following bad information that's got them chasing? They're like a hamster in a wheel, chasing all these distractions, versus focusing on the most important thing, which are these 3 things that we've been talking about today. Category of 1, leverage model, client acquisition, right? The other things are supporting things. And we can show you how to integrate it, to accelerate, to amplify, to grow, right? But strategy all by itself, which we've shared here alone, is not going to save you. We want to be able to work with you side by side. We'd like to invite you. And we've got a community to help you. We've got a team to help you. And we've got some incredible insights that we can help you avoid the mistakes. And we can help you scale it up. And if that is of interest to you, I want to challenge you to not just simmer on it, not to get excited in this moment. I want to challenge you to go simply fill out an application. Go to jimmyharding.com/apply, book a time for a conversation. We'll walk through the options. And if it's a fit, we'll go from there. Because here at the end of the day, like if Jimmy and I theoretically, and this is actually accurate with a client I recently worked with, I won't mention that client, but if I were able to help you and Jimmy were able to help you grow your company by at least, and I'm going to be a little bit conservative actually, I'll cut it in about half of reality. We were able to help you in the next couple, 12, 24 months, something like that, add on top of what you already might be doing in your business, an extra $10 million a year with high profit on that $10 million a year. What would that be worth to you? Right? What would that be worth to you? What would you be willing to pay for that? Would a small percentage of that be appropriate? Well, guess what? Our program is really a program that pays you to be a part of. Right? See, all of us have money for things that we use up in many cases, or we allocate. You know what I'm talking about, right? You have a check and then a certain amount goes towards different stuff, right? Could be investments, it could be going out, it could be taking the kids to the movie, a golf outing, stuff like that, right? So this isn't a program that puts you into debt. This is a program that gives you a potential return, right? And so what a lot of people look at is they go, you know what, this is an investment. And I remember years ago, it was like 1994. I had an opportunity to be a part of an event, and the person that I was talking to, I was on the fence, and he got in my face a little. He got in my grill. His name was Carl. And he says, you know, Dan, if you're not willing to bet on you, if you're not willing to invest in you, why should anybody else? Ooh, I don't know about you, but that like got me a little bit. And I did end up taking that chance way back in 1994. And it was one of the best things I ever did. It ultimately, I mean, it's a big part of why I'm fortunate to be where I'm at here today. And here's what I can share with you. You're a great investment. And instead of investing in things that go down in value, instead of risking investing in bad information as you chase in all kinds of distractions and ideas, well, what if you allocated it towards a focus on implementing? That's what we did, right? It goes up in value, not depreciates, because you're focused on implementing what matters. So if you think you're a good investment, and we do, and you're a great asset, and you can put your focus where it needs to be, what would happen for you? So, I mean, really, we're encouraging you to take us up on an opportunity to have a conversation, try it, in other words. And really what you're saying yes is to you to try it, right? Fill out the questionnaire, book a time, schedule a conversation. We can give you some options of, you know, the different things that we've got available. And if it's a good fit for both of us, we'll talk about moving forward. And if it's not, we'll also refer you to someone else who might be a better fit for you. And the reality is our focus as an organization at this time is to help 1,000 business owners grow by at least $1 million in revenue. That's a big focus, a big goal, $1 billion impact, and also impacting 1 billion people through that 1,000 business owners. So it's mission driven, purpose driven, and it also, at the end of the day, let me just be candid, it's also financially driven, right? Business is tough. It's simple, but it's tough. And I know what it's like, having had 3 of those companies I talked about earlier, where I had to bury them in the backyard, put me on the verge of bankruptcy. I've gone through bankruptcy in my career. I want to help you avoid it. And you know what? When I've had my eye off the ball chasing things, you know, like today, those things are things like social media posts and, you know, and content marketing done wrong. Bad information. The most expensive is bad information. We want to help you avoid it. We've had a lot of hard mistakes, and we've also had some successes along the way. And if you'd like to go deeper with us, and some of this is resonating with you, here's at the end of the day, something else to consider. You know, if you were going to take a trip from wherever you are right now to 3,000 miles away, what would be your choice of getting there? Because we all have choices. We can walk 3,000 miles. It take a while, but you could do it. And that's the approach of doing this on your own. You're going to be successful. You're going to get to your destination probably eventually. But that might be a long route. Another route, you might take a train, right? It might take you a couple days to go 3,000 miles. Or you could take a jet. And you have to ask yourself, which one makes the most sense for you? Because what is speed worth? You know, another context of speed and money, what does money buy? It buys speed, doesn't it? You know, a horse in a horse race, right? That wins by like a, what do they call it? A nose, or a car race? They win by a fender or whatever they call that, those photo finishes. And the difference between first and second in those races is what? Can be millions of dollars between milliseconds. And the question is, how do you value speed, right? I mean, at the end of the day with money, I mean this respectfully, because you have to treat it respectfully, not promiscuously, but you can always get money back. But time, as I shared earlier, when it's lost, can you ever get it back? No, and speaking from someone who's been a workaholic at times, where I've made probably the bad choice to work instead of be with my kids, I can tell you because of mistakes, I'm not proud of that. It is what it is. And I like to think I've learned from it today, those big lessons. You know, because think about it, when you or I miss, you know, our maybe if you have a daughter like I do, if you miss your daughter's dance recital, or maybe your son's into soccer or martial arts and you missed that soccer game, or you missed that martial arts, or you missed that award they got at school because you're busy working. And yeah, I know what I told myself. I can't speak for you, but I'll speak for me. I said it was for my bigger future. I said I was sacrificing today so I could have something for tomorrow. But you know what? I found those habits today translate 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. The habits, the things we do today ultimately continue to happen down the road. And can you ever get that time back? I know for me, I'll never be able to. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons I transform the way I choose to operate today and stay true on what the focus is. Right? So I propose to you that money can buy you speed. And you have a choice right here or now. You can go at this on your own. Jimmy kind of proposed I give you 3 choices. One, you can take the walk 3,000 miles. That's what this business journey is like. You can take a train, or you can hop on a plane. In case you're wondering, you might say, well, Dan, which of those options are you guys? We're the train. We're not the train. We're the plane. We're going to help you get there a little bit faster, a little bit sooner. We're going to help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls. We're going to focus on these 3 things. And most importantly, we're not going to give you a bunch of ideas and fire hose you. We're going to bring you implementation side by side, shoulder to shoulder, looking over your shoulder and giving you direct feedback on what to do now and when. What would that be worth? If that makes sense to you and it resonates with you a little bit, then I encourage you, simply fill out your application, go to jimmyharding.com/apply and do that. Take us up on the conversation. Essentially, you're saying yes to trying it. You're saying yes to you. Anyway, so I went off on a little bit of a rant there, Jimmy. So I apologize.
I love it. No, it's all good, man. It is all good. All great stuff. And yeah, I'll just wrap it up one more time before we end. We went a lot longer than we wanted to go, but I was just wanted to give you so much stuff, so much value, but I don't speak that fast. I'm from Louisiana, right? It takes me a little longer to say it than most people, but I wanted to make sure we got everything in for everyone. And hey, like Dan said, if this resonates, book a call. We'd love to talk about it with you. And if it's a good fit, maybe you come into our program and we help you implement. We're not here to teach you anything. We want to help you implement. We create breakthroughs. That's what we're all about. That's the name of our company, Breakthrough X, right? All about creating breakthroughs and helping you get to your bigger future. So
and speaking, by the way, of a bigger future, Jimmy, going back to your exercise earlier, and ideally you take action with what Jimmy shared with you throughout this platform today. But I'll share our vision and our what is our category of one. We help business owners, probably like you as you're watching right now or listening. We help business owners implement an automated sales and marketing system that's unique, by the way, so that you can go out and generate more predictable leads, more predictable sales, more predictable profits without your need of your charm, without your hustle, without it being predicated solely on your efforts or referrals, or like Jimmy shared earlier, of you being the one out, shaking the trees, shaking the bushes, at events and networking groups and programs and things like that. So Breakthrough X is about helping business owners like you implement an automated sales and marketing system so you can generate more leads, more sales and profits, so you can go out and have a bigger reach, a bigger impact, and a bigger contribution. And we'd love to invite you to be a part of that.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. All right, everyone. Go to jimmyharding.com/apply. And I hope to be talking to you soon. But either way, like Dan said, you committed to taking action, at least commit to doing one thing that I showed you can really help you from today's training. So with that, have a good one, and we hope to talk to you soon. Bye.